This book is so weird. Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Daniela and welcome to the start of another 24-hour reading vlog. I had so much fun with the last one that I was just so eager and excited to do this again. This time I don't really have a set TBR. We are going strictly off of vibes, and I just really want to see how many books that I can actually read in a span of 24 hours. Last time I did this challenge, I finished 3 books and listened to like half of an audiobook. So I want to see if I can push myself and read a few more this time. I decided to start off the challenge with the book Humor Me by Kat Shook. This book is kind of comped as like a romantic comedy, but also has been pegged as similar to the book romantic comedy. And I think while there will be some romance in it, it's really giving more of like a women's fiction kind of book, which is fine. I really like that. I read Kat Shook's first book when it first came out, I think last year or something, and really loved that one. It was 5 stars for me. This book follows Presley, and she is from the same small town in Georgia that the first book is set in, but she lives in New York City and she works for a late night talk show, and she's just an intern and she is focused on comedy. So her job is to go out and find new comedians and find new talents. So she's always going to like comedy shows in the city and trying to scope out who the new talent is. This book also takes place in like 2017 or 2018, and it is during the Me Too era. So there's like a lot of that sort of content. Presley is also grieving and processing the death of her mother at the start of this book. So I think it'll be a story really about life and love and loss and friendship, relationships, and I'm really intrigued to see how it goes and what happens. So yeah, just a little check-in. I'm only 20-30 pages in so far, but so far so good. The writing that's occurring here. This is so weird. She said, I make minimum wage and wouldn't mind some new threads. Who talks like this? So weird. I don't know, man. Okay, I am 113 pages into Humor Me so far, and I'm not loving it. It feels very just like surface level-y, like there's not a lot going on. It's definitely not plot driven, but I also feel like I'm not really getting to know the characters very much either. It's very like, and like maybe this is intentional because the main character is like grieving the loss of her mom, and she's very like surface level-y to everyone. She doesn't want to talk about her feelings, she doesn't want to think about her feelings, she's like burying them down inside of her. And so maybe that's why we're just not getting a lot, but I just feel like I've read over 100 pages and I'm not really like getting anywhere with it. It feels so very stereotypically 2017, 2018, whenever this is set, which I think she did a really good job with. Like the mannerisms and some of the dialogue and conversation is just so cringe that like I think is very intentional because it feels very 2017. And it's interesting that she chose to write this book in this time frame, because this book just came out earlier this year. But yeah, I wish we were getting a little bit more. Like I'm fairly bored. I don't always love a character-driven story, and I think even though her first book was a character-driven story, it focused on a family and there were like multiple POVs and it was kind of switching back and forth often enough that it was intriguing, whereas I'm kind of getting slogged down with this one a little bit. Also, what doesn't help is that I did look up this book to see if this character was in the first book at all, because I did read that book a long time ago and they're from the same, it's like all in the same small town. And so I just went on Goodreads to see if there were any connections like that, and the first thing I saw was like a review that was like, I DNF'd this. And so that kind of does subconsciously make me feel like, oh dear, no. But that's okay. I'm gonna carry through. I'm gonna see, maybe it will be a little bit redeeming later on, but yeah, I'm just not totally loving it so far. We'll keep going, we'll see. We are at 21 hours 40 minutes, so I've read a little bit over 2 hours so far. That's the update for now. That's all. The best part about this book is that because it follows a girl who works for a comedy late night show, she's going to a lot of comedy clubs, and there's like stand-up scenes written out, and they are pretty entertaining actually. Okay, that's my first book. We have 18 hours 50 minutes on the timer, so that means this book took me 5 hours and 10 minutes roughly. It was okay. I liked the second half way more than I liked the first half. I really liked the romance that happened in this book. It was really well written, well done, and I think we did start to get more character depth in the second half. Yeah, overall it was okay. It wasn't like fantastic or great, but I enjoyed it. It's not one that I'll like think about probably ever again, but I'm glad that I read it. I had an okay time with it, and we will keep reading. I'm trying to think about what I want to read next. Oh, I know. I just got this book on my Kobo that's like a very cutesy fallish romance, so I think I'm gonna dive into that one next because I think it'll be cute and just like fluffy, and I can get through it kind of quickly. This one was a little bit of a slogger, so I do want something that's gonna be a little bit quicker. So I think that's the one that I'm gonna read next, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, I'm a couple hours into reading Just Don't Fall. I read about 38%, and this is pretty much exactly what I was looking for what I was hoping for the next read. This is like a little fluffy cupcake of a book. It is so lighthearted and just so fun. This book follows Parker and Logan. They grow up together, and then Logan gets picked up by the NHL and kind of disappears without a trace. And then like a decade or so later, Logan gets dropped from the NHL and picked up by, I think it's called the AHL. It's like the league just below the NHL. I'm not super familiar with hockey, I don't really know. But he gets transferred into this new team, and Parker is the social media manager for that team. And so they reconnect. Yeah, the story goes from there. It's a lot of fun. It is very, very cheesy, but it's just fun and fluffy and like a very quick read. Just like a palate cleanser book, which is exactly what I was looking for. The vibes are so similar to the book by Sarah Adams, that football book. The Cheat Sheet, I think is what it's called. It reminds me so much of that book. But yeah, so I'm intrigued to see where it will go, what will happen. But I'm having a lot of fun so far. So I paused. We just stopped to have some dinner and I realized I forgot to pause the timer. So I have no idea how long, I just paused it, but I have no idea how long it was going for that I wasn't reading. I think it must have been like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I have absolutely no idea. Anyways, I guess we'll just have to carry on. I've read 72% of the book. This is exactly what I needed. I'm actually just having so much fun with it. Is it objectively the best book I've ever read? Absolutely not. But I am having such a good time. I'm giggling, I'm kicking my legs. It is everything I needed. I can't remember the last time I just read like a silly little romance book and I missed it. I used to love reading books like this all the time. They're just fun, low stakes, relaxing, good times. The tropes in this book, so good. It's like grumpy sunshine, fake dating, childhood best friends. He is so protective of her and so like, not controlling, but just very like trying to keep her safe. They are obviously pretending to be together, but neither of them is really pretending. And I don't know, I know it's gonna get a little bit messy as it always does before it gets better, but I'm having a lot of fun with this one and it was like the perfect palate cleanser of a book. I'm gonna read for a bit more. Obviously, I'm gonna be reading for 24 hours. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to stay up tonight. It's 9:15. I don't think I'll be like rolling through the night, but we'll see how far we can get tonight. And I definitely think I'll finish this one and at least start in on another book before I go to sleep tonight. Alrighty, that was book 2. We are now at 13 hours and 16 minutes remaining on the timer. I did read a little bit without turning the timer back on to try and like even out the times a little bit. I have no idea where we're actually at, but that is 2 books in like 11 hours roughly. So yeah, I really liked this book. I don't really have anything new to say that I haven't already said in my updates. But I did have a lot of fun with it. I thought it was really cute. It was very cheesy, like very, very cheesy, do not get me wrong, but it was just like cute and fluffy. I think this book is in a series. I don't know what the series is called. I'll put it up on the screen, but it's a bunch of books by different authors. I don't know if they all revolve around the same hockey team or in the same town or something. But I'm definitely interested to read more books in the series throughout the fall. It's just like a fun little treat in between the heavier books, the meatier books that I'm reading throughout the season. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start my next book tonight and we'll see how far I get into that. And then tomorrow we'll continue on with reading and finishing out the rest of the 24 hours. I am only 12 pages into this book, but it's already so good so far. It is so mysterious and like very eerie and kind of creepy. So from my understanding, this book is a murder mystery set on a train on the Trans-Siberian Express. So it's a train from Beijing to Moscow. I'm so intrigued by it. I think it's going to be really, really good. From what I've gathered in these first 10 pages, we are following a young woman and she is getting on the train, and the train hasn't run for a really long time. She has this book that's called The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands, and it's very, very old and tattered, and it belonged to her father, I think. And she's like clutching onto it, holding onto it, reading. She's so excited because she's taking this train journey through the wastelands. That's what this like trip is called. And from what I understand is that there was like a huge crazy thing that happened in the wastelands when this train originally ran way back, and they've like shut down the waste, like you can't go through this path, it's completely shut down, no one can go through it, and they're just reopening it for the first time. I think the way that the book is laid out is based on like the days of the trip, and it is set in the late 1800s, so it's very like old-timey and regal and very mysterious. So I'm very intrigued so far to read more about it. Okay, hi, what is up guys? It is the next day. It's actually 2:30 in the afternoon, so it's not even the next morning. I have been reading more of The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands, and I'm like 150 pages in so far. A lot has happened since we last spoke. I thought this book was gonna be more of like a murder mystery, and it is not that at all. It is very mysterious. It's very like eerie and spooky, but it's about a group of travelers on the train and about their own kind of personal mysteries and their own reasons for being on the train. And then the train and the wastelands that surround them are just as much of a character themselves. The little details of the train, its little secret compartments, passageways, all of that, and the way that the train runs and the way that the crew knows how to keep the train running, and it's like very secretive and mysterious. Like the train is very much its own entity, its own character in this book, as well as the wastelands around them. So this train, the train has been running for quite some time, but for some reason something mysterious has happened on the last time the train ran, and it stopped running, and they said we're not running the train anymore. And none of the crew remembers, none of the passengers remember the journey. They have no idea what happened to them, but something has happened, and it's very like mysterious and dark. And so the train has decided to start running again. This is its first journey. It is going kind of as you would expect. There's lots of like external stuff in the environment that I find really interesting that affects the train and the way that the train moves. And then there's a lot of dynamics in between the characters, and it's very mysterious. It's definitely like a slow burn mystery. It's super atmospheric and very cozy and very eerie, and one that I'm intrigued to read more about. I do think I want to read this one a little bit slower. Like, I'm just not really feeling like reading it all in one go. I feel like I'll appreciate it more if I take a little bit more time with it. So I think I'm gonna give this book a break and come back to it a little bit later on. We still have almost 10 hours left on the timer, and it is 2:45. So I don't know if I'll finish everything today. I'm gonna try to do as much as possible, but I am kind of enjoying like taking my time with it, stopping the timer when I'm not reading and truly just reading during the 24 hours. So yeah, I'm gonna press pause on this book, not because I'm not enjoying it, I really am enjoying it, but I just want to give my brain some time to like really process and really get in there and not like rush all the way through it. Okay, I just came down to the lake and it started raining when I got here, or like as I was driving here. But of course, as soon as I leave my house, it starts to rain, and there was no rain in the forecast. I did pick out the book that I was looking for at the library, and I got Renegades. This book, first of all, this is so, it doesn't look that chunky on the camera. In real life, it looks so chunky. It is way bigger than I thought it was gonna be. 552 pages. I thought it was gonna be like 300 pages and I would just fly through it. Renegades is like a YA dystopian. I love that genre. I loved The Hunger Games. I loved, what was it called? Like Divergent, I think. Just those sorts of books. So I thought it would be fun as like a little treat to read this trilogy. I'm so sad that it's raining, but I might just hang out in my car and listen to the sounds of the rain and just read here because it's kind of vibey with the fresh air. Now, well, now it's saying it's not raining, but it is. So anyways, that's the update. It's 4 o'clock. I have not read a single thing since I last updated you a few hours ago. I am doing so bad at this challenge this time around. I still have 9 hours and 41 minutes to read. This is definitely going to take me longer than I originally anticipated that it would. 66 pages into Renegades. This is exactly what I was hoping that it would be. It is so good so far. Renegades is set in this like dystopian world where everything has kind of gone very bleak, and a group of villains kind of took over and they started like thieving, taking things, whatever. And then a group of heroes that call themselves the Renegades come up, and they kind of stop a bunch of the crime that's going on. And then there's this huge battle between the bad guys and the good guys, and the good guys obviously win. And then this is set a decade later after that huge fight, and it follows our main character Nova, and she's actually not a renegade. She is one of the bad guys. She's a villain. Oh, I forgot to mention the most important part. They all live in this world, and some of them have superpowers, like natural superpowers, and some people are just normal. So the renegades and the bad guys are all people with superpowers, and they are actively kind of fighting each other, trying to maintain power over the city that they are living in. Our main character Nova has the power to just like put people to sleep. She never has to sleep herself, but she can just put anyone to sleep. It's an interesting book because the renegades are perceived as the good guys, but it kind of is showing how they maybe aren't actually the good guys, and that there's a lot more going on here. This is really fast paced so far. It's really fun. This is like the kind of plotty book that I really wanted to read in this 24 hours, because as much as I love the more literary books and I've been reading great books, I've just been like in need of something that is just so fast paced, so plotty, that I can sit down and really sink my teeth into it and just read and not have to think too much. So that is really doing the trick here, this book. Hi guys, what is up? How are ya? Okay, so for you it's been like 1 second, and for me it's been 2 weeks. I very clearly did not finish my reading challenge in the 2 days that I allotted myself, and then things got really busy. It was Thanksgiving here in Canada. All the things have happened, but I am not going to let the 24-hour challenge win. I want to finish this challenge, so I'm gonna do that. When I stopped reading, there was a little under 6 hours left on the timer, and then my timer got deleted. So I have no idea how much time is left over. Like, I know it was like 5 hours and something, but I don't know if it was 5 hours and 59 minutes or if it was 5 hours and 1 minute. I was gonna put 5.5 hours on the timer and just call it even. But then I remembered that on the first night I cooked dinner and I didn't turn off the timer. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna give myself a full 6 hours. I think I can get that all done today. And I'm gonna finish my reading challenge and finish the books that I've started. I am a little bit less than halfway. Yeah, a little bit less than halfway through Renegades, and I'm really enjoying it. I've like definitely fallen out of it. I haven't picked it up at all in the last couple of weeks. So I don't really have an update for you. I haven't been reading, but I'm going to defeat the 24 hours. We're not gonna let it win, and I'm going to crush it out. I'm gonna reset my timer. Let's do it together, and we'll get right back into reading. Also, I got a new phone case, finally. I haven't had a phone case for this whole vlog. I didn't have one for weeks because my last one broke, so I finally got a new one. I'm setting 6 hours on the timer. Let's read. I just opened my book to the bookmark. I didn't even stop reading on the end of a chapter. Like, it's just the middle of pages. How feral is that? That is really weird. That is truly really weird. So I guess we'll be picking up right in the middle. Okay, I feel like it's finally starting to get interesting. Like, I've been intrigued by this book the whole way through, but I thought it was gonna be way more fast-paced than it has been so far. Like, I feel like I'm finally getting like drawn in to the point where I can't really put it down, and I have read 436 pages. So it's taken quite a bit of time to get there, quite a large amount of pages, but now everything is kind of coming together. Everything is happening. There's a lot of secrets that are being like puzzle pieces putting together. Whatever. It's getting very interesting. There's a lot more character depth. There's some other characters that have kind of come into play that are really interesting. I think a lot of this book was kind of like building backstory and getting to know the characters, getting to know what's going on. And I think that that was valuable and important because now that the action is finally happening, like we know all of that. Yeah, now I'm like really, I'm in it. And I don't have very much left. Like you can see, this is how much I have left. So I'm very intrigued. And I have 3 hours, 14 minutes left on the timer. So I'm gonna keep going. I'll definitely be able to finish this one. And then depending on how this one ends, I might pick up the second one, or I might go back to reading the like train book and seeing how much more I can get through that one. I think that's what I should do. But we'll see how much of a cliffhanger this ends on and if I just like can't wait to get into it. It's getting so fun. Oh, I'm actually so shocked. Oh. That was like the twistiest ending that I was not expecting at all. Guys, this book ended on such a cliffhanger. Like, this girl was fooling us all. She was fooling us all. That was so fun. That was so intriguing. Oh my gosh, I actually loved it. Like, it was a little bit slow at first, but once it picked up, it was so interesting. There's like a tiny little bit of romance. There's a lot of mystery. There's superheroes. It's like dystopian. It's fun. It's well written. The twist, there were like a few little plot twists that I wasn't expecting, but the way that this ended, dang, I'm really, really excited to get into the rest of the books in the series. I have an hour and 43 minutes left on the timer. I really want to read the next book, but I feel like I should keep reading the book that I already started before and get further along in that. Also, like, these books aren't even on my October TBR, and that one is on my TBR for this month, so but first, I just got some new bed sheets for our bed for the fall and winter, and I just washed them all. So I think I'm gonna go make my bed all cozy with the new sheets, and then I'll decide what I'm gonna keep reading, and I'll do the last couple of hours of the challenge. But wow, that book actually, I don't even understand. Okay, so in the plot twist of all plot twists, that was that book actually. I actually think I'm gonna read Nothing Like the Movies for the rest of the 24-hour challenge. I started this in my last reading vlog and I've been having a lot of fun with it. It is definitely very, very cheesy, but I wanna read something right now because it is really late. Like it's 11:45 and I still have to read for 2 hours. So I just don't want to get into something where I'm like, I can't put it down, I have to know what happens. So I think I'm gonna stick with a classic cozy little romance to finish out the challenge, because then I can just go right to sleep and not be stuck thinking about it. I feel like the mystery book that I was reading, I'll probably, if I read it for 2 hours, get like really into it and not want to put it down until I finish it. So that's what I'm gonna read for now. I am 145 pages into it so far, and it's been very silly and very cutesy and pretty fun. Thank you guys so much for watching my 24-hour vlog. Let me know your thoughts down below if you enjoyed this video or if you've read any of the books that I read and what your thoughts were. I thought I would just do a quick little wrap up before finishing off the video and go through all of the books by ratings, etc. The first book I read in the vlog was Humor Me by Kat Shook. This one was a lit fic book about a young girl living and working in New York City. It followed her as she was struggling in her job, struggling in her personal life, just doing the best she can after losing her mom and like trying to stay alive in New York. I really liked the last 50 pages of this book. I thought they were excellently written. It's kind of what I was expecting the whole story to be. So I was a little bit let down with the majority of the book, which is too bad. It was a bit tough to get through and just like really slow. But I loved the ending. So I landed on a 3.25 rating for this one in the end. I am a little disappointed in that, but it is what it is. It was still kind of a fun read. After that, I read Just Don't Fall on my Kobo, and that was just like a light, fluffy cupcake of a book. It was so silly and just cutesy and fun, and I really enjoyed it. It was very autumnal and fallish, and it had hockey, it had romance. It was like a closed door romance. There was nothing spicy going on. The main character had never even been kissed before, so it was just like very cutesy and silly. I had a very fun time with it. It wasn't serious. It's not one that I've thought about since then or probably will think about, but I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars. After that, I started The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wasteland, and this book is on my October TBR, and I do still plan on finishing it in October. I do want to continue reading it. It was just a little bit slow to be reading during a 24-hour readathon because it wasn't like keeping things moving and keeping me motivated. Actually, don't even have a bookmark in here. I think I read like a little under 100 pages of this one, but it's very interesting. It's just a very slow buildup. I feel like it's going to be very rewarding once I get further into it, but I'm definitely putting in the effort, putting in the work right now to get there. And I am intrigued to see how this will go. It's very atmospheric and it's very mysterious. I feel like there are many layers of mystery going on here, and I'm enjoying that. After that, we went on our little library adventure and I picked up Renegades, and I enjoyed this book. I had a lot of fun with it actually. First of all, it's chunky. This book is 556 pages. And so it took me quite a bit to get through. I was expecting it to be a little bit faster paced than it was, but that's okay. It still had like a lot of character building. It still had some twists and turns. The ending left my jaw on the floor, and I have been thinking about it nonstop ever since. So I'm really excited to get into the second one and to continue on with this series. But I think I'm gonna land on like a 3.75. I know that that's like very particular and nitpicky, but I think that's where I feel this one landed. And I do think that the other 2 books in the series do have the potential to be 5 stars. The last book I read was Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I started this book in a previous vlog and then decided to just pick it up and keep going with it. And I was pretty close to the end when the timer went off, and so I just went ahead and finished it. And this book was really cute. It wasn't what I was expecting from the book, but I had a really good time with it. I thought it was really fun. It was very cutesy, very... Okay, sorry, my card filled up. But anyways, I think I'm gonna land on like a 3.5, 4 star. I'm not sure what my rating is for this one because it's just so like beloved. The characters are so special to me, and I did like the way that it wrapped up a lot. I thought it was very cute. We did get a few scenes in their little hometown in Nebraska that I thought were really, really fun. The LA stuff was really fun, the California setting. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm not sure yet where the rating is gonna land, but I enjoyed it and I'm glad that I was able to read it. That is all for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I love ya, and I will see you hopefully in the next one. Bye bye!